Alright, well, it's 11 o'clock AM. We will begin this regular meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. How's it going, everyone? Thanks for showing up. Right off the bat, if we could just have everyone please turn off or silence your cell phones. Then we will head into a pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence in honor of Katrina Pacheco. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alright, we're gonna start with community information items.
You should approve.
Oh, yes, I always skip that. Gee, sorry, Tracy. Thanks for calling me out on that. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Alright, to a vote?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Now on to community information items. I'll go ahead and get started with this. It is with deep sadness that the Board of County Commissioners and Lake County staff would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the death of Katrina Pacheco, a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. Her son, Malcolm, turned 11 months old on Sunday. We extend our deepest sympathies to her family, friends, and all who miss her. The deep pain of her loss ripples through the entire community. To those closest to Katrina and those intimately affected by domestic violence, we understand the reality of just how much more we can do beyond our thoughts and prayers. This is not the first time our community has been touched by such a tragedy, and sadly, it may not be the last. That is why the Board of Commissioners is committed to taking meaningful action. We will be actively exploring systemic changes and potential solutions to help prevent future tragedies of this nature. Domestic violence is a pervasive issue that extends beyond the borders of Lake County, but we believe we have a responsibility to do more to combat this together. We invite and encourage community members to share their perspectives and ideas. In the coming weeks, we will be holding public work sessions to listen, learn, and begin identifying concrete steps we can take collectively as a county and a community to confront and reduce domestic violence.
Not me. And I don't know about them.
Yes. I also wanted to touch on the upcoming Lake County Wildfire Resilience Fair that will be on Wednesday, May 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Southern Fire Station. This is a free event. It will be kid-friendly. There will be raffles, appetizers, and s'mores. For many of us, it will be our first s'mores of the year. There will be, join the experts for an evening of community connection and wildfire preparedness at the Lake County Wildfire Resilience Fair. You can pop in anytime. This will bring together local, state, and federal partners to help individuals and community members prepare for wildfire season. And we're gonna try and have fun while we're doing it. So we'll have booths, pet evacuation tips, home tips, learn about free services like defensible space assessments, summer chipping programs, meet the local emergency responders, fire truck photo opportunities, passport activities, booths, enter to win prizes. There will be a presence by the animal shelter, adoptable pets and pet evacuation tips, kids zone with activities and a coloring station, and more. So just wanna put that on people's radar. Wildfire seasons are no joke, like we saw last year with the Interlake and fire. The next one could be a lot closer to home. That's all I have.
Cool, thank you. There is a campaign where people can bring in their old smartphones for victim services. So on the topic of domestic violence this week, you can help other survivors in unsafe situations by donating your phones. You can bring it in, drop it almost anywhere, and we'll make sure that it gets to the right person. Also wanted to make sure everybody knows the advocates who have been serving constituents who've experienced domestic violence and sexual assault in our community for the last 40 years. They, at the end of March, they were at 77% of their projected utilization of the safe house. Which means that over 40 years of collecting data about how much they thought the safe house would be needed this year, they reached 3/4 of their projected usage within the first quarter. And that's huge. We're seeing a huge amount of domestic violence in this community, and the safe house is being utilized. Also, the sheriff updated me last week that the 2 of the vehicles that are unmarked of the 4 are getting wrapped this week. So, look out for new vehicles. And then also on Thursday, we have the Ski Cooper engagement listening session. So anyone in the community who wants to give their input about how their hopes and dreams for Ski Cooper, so that the county can appropriately represent them, please come on Thursday to CMC in the evening. Yeah, that's it from me.
I don't have anything today, thank you.
Cool, and just a reminder about meeting recordings, they are available, all regular meetings and work sessions are recorded and now available on Lake County Government YouTube channel with transcribed and indexed videos. New improvements we're making all the time here. The recordings can be watched at a time that's best for you. Subscribe to stay informed on county decisions. And now, we will move on to public comment. Public comment is available for residents wishing to speak on an agenda item or another issue not on the agenda. To make public comment, residents may request to speak by raising your hand in person or using the raise hand feature in Zoom, and or sending a message in chat. The chair will call on the public in order. Comments limited to 3 minutes, not including board questions. Action, if required, will be assigned to county staff. The chair may also ask that public comment on specific agenda items be held for later in the meeting. In certain instances, public comment will not be accepted, such as on public hearing items noted on the agenda. So let's start with people in the room who would like.
Wait, Andy, can you say, are there any things that you're going to be opening to public comment later in the agenda?
I don't think so. Do we have any land use stuff on this one?
No, but it's up to your discretion if you're going to open up like the motocross.
No, let's go ahead and listen to everyone now on
Okay,
that.
cool.
Okay, anyone in the room like to speak? Yes, Sam, go ahead and state your name and your residence.
Samuel Reynolds, live up on the east side of town. Obviously here to talk about taxes. I'm joking, this is actually something entirely different. So B&B Shipping has found that there's a need in the community for a print shop to be open 6 days a week. And I just wanted to extend just something to everybody inside this room, that we can probably handle a print job, whatever you need. I have some flyers and some business cards. We can do in-house business cards, so you don't have to wait 14 days to get for that new team member that joins your team. So they actually have those sitting right up front. So I wouldn't mind just maybe leaving them up on the desk up there. But yeah, we're available and we're here. We've got notary, we've got fingerprinting, everything to help serve the community. So reach out to us anytime.
Great, will do, thank you, and that's large format as well,
Large format as well,
awesome,
Very cool.
not 60 inches, but yes, large format.
okay,
Thank you all. I have to go help my wife because we have a 5-week-old. So thanks, Al. So I can't do too much, but thanks for everybody's time. Thanks for the work y'all do.
Thanks, Sam.
alright, next, anyone else in the room? Yes, Eric, go ahead,
Yep.
state your name and
I'm Eric
residence.
Cooperman, and I'm a Lake County resident for 20-ish years now. And I'm here to speak about the motocross track. And I think it's my opinion that motocross track brings a lot of business to our town. There's a lot of people that come and spend money, gas stations, restaurants, groceries, etc. Presently, there's no off-road usage designated for OHVs, and the dirt bike community knows Leadville. Leadville is known statewide. So, if that track doesn't open, people are still coming here to use trails. And there are repercussions to that, because there are no trails, which means trails will be created illegally. So please, open this track. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, Eric.
who else in the room? Go ahead, Matt, state your name and residency.
Matt Booty, 1945 County Road 8. Pretty much grown up here in Leadville, and I watched the whole inception of the track, and when it first started out, it was supposed to be 80 acres, which got kind of narrowed down to a much smaller area, and I'm surprised that it's gotten to where it was. You know, when I was there with the first, or for other Mark Gorman and another guy, whatever, we were laying out the track way back then, and it took a while for that thing to come around, and it's gone through its whole what do you want to say, evolution, I guess, you know, process of getting started to where it's at now. I know Mike Bordonia had a big part in getting the fenced in area and making it something that we could start working with legitimately, I guess, and then over the progression of it all, it's acquired lots of equipment and bathrooms and great staff that is able to maintain it properly. And it's the way that it is run right now, it stays very safe because it's not being overly used, and they have a little time to, you know, just have the resources to do it. I think if it was to be opened like it used to be before COVID, you could get a pass and get a gate combo and just show up. And I don't know if that's a bad idea or a good idea. It's just that the track won't be maintained all the time. I just like to see that when it does get open, that it stays maintained like it is, like on the weekends, or that it's more, even though there's more people coming from out of town, it's a safer situation when everything is, you know, has had the time to be taken care of. So I'm not sure really what the lease is stating, or if it's up for debate whether it's gonna be renewed or not, but you know, obviously everybody knows that the track is a very, very big draw, so, and well known throughout the whole entire state for the motocross community, you know. Connect a little bit with that. Anyway, my blessings to Kim and Jeff. They've done a great job with making the track what it is today, so see what happens in the future. Hopefully, long live the motocross track.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, who else in the room? Alright, let's move to online. Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm Kim Kigu, PO Box 841 here in Leadville. I just wanted to make a quick comment, thanking Commissioner Lee for all this time, working to make a lease that is agreeable for this 1 year. It's been a bit frustrating, but I think we've come to terms, and the biggest thing about the club is we want to make sure we stay an asset to the community. If we're a detriment, Like, we don't wanna be here. Everything that we do is to provide for the community and limit the exposure for the county. COVID forced us through county regulations to revisit our business model and do it in a way that we reduce exposure for the county. Used to be you could go to the gas station like Matt was talking about, sign, pay, and we would go to the gas station, we would get the waiver and we'd see 5 names on it and roll up there and there are 20 people riding. So when COVID came around and we were told that we could not operate that way, we made it so that somebody would always be on site, talking to every single person that comes through that gate, establishing a relationship, laying out the groundwork, and just to make it as positive as we can, get as many kids as we can. Everything that we've done, like I said, has been for the community and to really reduce liability for the county. We do free youth, like any kid that lives here in Lake County that's under the age of 18, and even some that are over 18, they come and they ride for free, because we don't want them riding their dirt bikes in your neighborhood, it's irritating you. We want them to have this space. So we will continue to work with the board to make sure that we have a lease that works for everyone, so we can get open and get the kids back to the track. So that's what it's about. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, anyone else in the room? Okay, let's move to online comment. Looks like we have Jane Harrelson. Jane, you're still muted, I think, if you're. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. I guess I'm like a dark shadow from the kids, so if there's some light. I'm Jane Harrelson, 172 Rafferty Drive. And I just wanted to clear up a misconception that was expressed at the work session on April 22nd. The fund in the Aquatic Center fund generated by the 0.5% tax, it can be used for capital costs, for renovation or new build. That fund, that ballot language was pretty broad. And so I will email you the ballot language that the voters approved and highlight where it says it can be used for capital. Now, $400,000 to $500,000 a year is not going to be enough to renovate our pool or to build a new aquatic center. So the multi-million-dollar question is, where are we going to get the money? Well, when we at PB Swims were applying for grants over the last few years, potential funders said they wanted to know if they invested that in a couple of years the pool wouldn't shut down because we couldn't operate or maintain it. So that was the whole intent of that citizen initiative. A question asked, or comment made at that work session was, well, why wasn't it a county tax? We did try, however, the board in 2023 and 2024 did not want to refer that question to the ballot, and citizens don't have the statutory right to put a countywide tax on the ballot. So that's why it's citywide. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Tharp, Deputy County Manager Snyder, Pros Director Chisholm for working with the city, the school district, the college. Warren Barrett brought everybody together so we can find a solution. So thank you for working on this, and thank you for keeping a swimming pool a safe place to learn and practice the lifelong skill of swimming on your list of priorities. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jane. Next I see Davey Gonzalez.
Yes, can you guys hear me okay?
Sure can, thank you.
All right, I'm calling to follow up that like Kim and Jeff are for the community. My name is Davey Gonzalez. I'm the executive executive director for Motodemption. We are a nonprofit foundation that builds dirt bikes for people with spinal cord injuries, and we cater to athletes, civilians, and disabled veterans. We've worked with Kim and Jeff for now a few years now, and we've actually now gotten 64 people back on dirt bikes that have actually been in the adaptive community. And we do camps across the country, California, Connecticut, Texas, Kansas, and the Leadville track is the single best location we've done, with 3/4 of the spinal cord injury and amputees and disabled veterans getting back on a dirt bike. So I'm here on their behalf on the adaptive community. And also we work closely with Craig Hospital, which is the #1 spinal cord rehabilitation center in the country. And a lot of those people that actually support our mission and working in conjunction with the Leadville Motocross track with Jeff and Kim. So that right there, that's an important track for us to work with. And we would really appreciate that consideration, make sure that that moves forward, because it's important to our foundation and to the adaptive community.
Great, thank you, Davey. Is there anyone else online who would like to have public comment? I don't see any other hands raised.
There's a chat.
We'll move on to anything that's in the chat. I see a comment from Matthew Vogt. Sorry, Matthew. The Moto Park is an asset to Leadville. Would love to have open comment available after the issue is addressed in the meeting. We will probably not be having any more open comment after this public comment session in the beginning. But we are all the commissioners are open to any outreach from the community regarding the motocross track. And all of our contact information is available on the county website. So thank you, Matthew. Is there anyone else for public comment on any of the agenda items or any other topics? Okay. Alright, then let's move on. Agenda item number 1, we have calendar work session and regular meeting agenda review led by Sandra Pettis, Executive Administrative Assistant.
Hello.
Good morning, Sandra.
Go ahead and start with calendar for next week. Alright, May 12th. Okay, leadership roundtable meeting with Lake County Build-A Generation from 2 to 4. Planning Commission has a meeting from 4 to 6. And the Lake County School District Board of Education regular meeting is 5:30 to 8 p.m. Tuesday the 13th. You have your morning work session from 9 to noon. Your afternoon work session will go from 1 to 3. And you have a special meeting from 3 to 4. And the Lake County Public Library Board of Trustees meeting is from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And Lake County Tourism Panel has their monthly meeting from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Wednesday the 14th, Lake County Community Coffee from 8:30 to 10. Your legislative work session from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Arkansas Basin Roundtable Executive Board meeting is from 10:30 to 12. I talked to Bryce about this. He said that the agendas haven't been posted yet, but when they do, he'll make sure and reach out again to get you guys added to the invite, so at least they're on your calendar for awareness. your late morning work session from 10:30 to noon. And then Arkansas Basin Roundtable regular meeting is 12:30 to 3. E911 Authority also has their regular meeting from 1 PM to 2 PM. And then, of course, the Lake County Wildfire Resilience Fair will be from 6 PM to 8 PM at the Southern Fire Station. I wasn't showing anything on the 15th. That'll look right on your calendar.
It's the art show at the LCIS.
Oh.
That's why nobody's planning anything.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, so Friday the 16th, Twin Lakes Community Coffee from 9 AM to 10 AM. And the special meeting from 9:30 AM to 11 AM. We'll do it for calendar review. Take a look at next week's work session agendas real quick. Tuesday, the 13th, your AM work session. We'll start with calendar review, and then 9:15 to 11 will be overview and update from the Brundle Group on the Climate Action Plan study and staffing recommendations for the Sustainability Coordinator position. This will be led by Candace Bryans, our county manager. And then 11 AM to 12 PM, overview and discussion about a county lodging tax bill, led by Adam Ducharme, Tourism and Economic Development Director.
Get this one close with the X. Up in the right corner. Hit that one, and then you can go back to the breadcrumbs. So at the top, so see work session and then the date. Great. So hit more on the Zoom bar. This is fun, right?
No.
So hit the bar. Click hide floating meeting controls about a quarter of the way down. Boom. So now you have your screen. Let's click exit here or escape. Okay. It wants you to do the new thing. So you hit let's go, and now on your breadcrumbs,
Got it, go away.
make that float again, so you have access to your whole menu.
This?
Yep, click more, click floating again, perfect. Now click work session in your breadcrumbs right before new, and then you can get back there.
Thank you.
Is that what you?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, no, it's okay.
It's
Something is always in my way. Okay, afternoon work session. 1 to 3 PM is a debrief of Lake County's water rights and update on the water projects enterprise led by Bryce Burlick, Water Program Manager.
Perfect.
Then, on Wednesday, 14th, you'll have your 9:30 AM legislative, and at 10:30 to noon will be overview and discussion regarding the Dutch Henry culvert and possibility of straightening the tubing canal.
Let's go. Love it.
And then we'll take a quick look at the draft agenda for 5:20. Calendar work session, regular meeting agenda review, communications update and review with Sammy. Discussion and consideration of a construction agreement with Clayton Properties Group, Inc., solution builders under the trademark Oakwood Homes for the construction of the housing at 10,200 the project, led by Jackie Wheelahan and Michael Yerman. Discussion and consideration to adopt resolution 2025-19, 2025 county board and position appointments. Discussion and consideration to adopt resolution 2025-20, a resolution designating authorized signatories on the county's bank accounts. Discussion and consideration to adopt resolution 2025-21, a resolution approving the third amended subdivision improvement agreement for Mountain Gate subdivision in Lake County, Colorado. This will be led by Ann Schneider. Discussion and consideration to approve an extension on land use file number 24-04 Angel U2 major subdivision sketch plan. Discussion and consideration to approve an extension on land use file number 23-13 and 14 Gateway major subdivision and planned unit development sketch plan. Discussion and consideration of a road maintenance agreement. This is a little vague so far. I'm sure I'll have more information coming up soon. Discussion and consideration of a non-funded challenge cost share agreement between Lake County and the USDA Forest Service, Pike San Isabel National Forest in Cimarron, and Comanche National Grasslands for basic outdoor recreation related maintenance and monitoring on National Forest System lands. This will be led by Adam Ducharme. Wasn't sure, Duncan, if this is staying on here, keep it on the video.
Keep it on
Okay.
the video.
Discussion and consideration to approve a contract with the National Forest Foundation to support the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Regional Partnership Initiative Grant. Discussion and consideration to approve a grant award from TGYS. I will get the name for that acronym on there, led by Brian. Discussion and consideration to approve a grant award from Cary Community Ventures to Human Services to support maximizing the utilization of public benefits. Led by Kristen Logan. And then we will have the county manager's monthly updates. And your consent agenda is a little small so far, but we'll have some special permits to add to that coming up soon. No?
We're gonna go to the next one.
Oh. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Let's go back to.
Sorry, what about our special meetings?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Not sure if those agendas are.
They've been,
No, the ones next week are.
Okay.
Not the one on the 16th yet.
Yeah.
This one is executive session. Okay. Please don't make me read all that legal.
no, it's great. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, I'll get the language for the 16th and get that posted.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 2 is communications update and review led by Sammy Shiner, communications manager. Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you guys.
Leadville, Maine just put out their notice for Leadville in Bloom. I think we've all seen them and super enjoy them. Historically, the county has put one of those out there and done a super cute little tag. So I think that's just a really nice thing that everybody enjoys, and we'd like to put one out on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners this year. Great. We did it.
Thank you. So thank you for talking about the wildfire fair. We have an arborist coming and we have Excel coming. And Excel will be talking about their wildfire mitigation program and transmission project. And they're gonna be handing out go bags and document holders for all the papers that people are going to be receiving, so it'll be a lot. And they'll bring some cool stuff for kids. I tried to reach out to the Black Hat Fireworks folks, they did not get back to me. It was like a form submission. So might be a little late now. And then all the agencies will be meeting on Thursday to talk about logistics and answer any questions for them. So a while ago, we talked about sending out an all resident, all county mailer to everyone in the county. Is that something you guys are still interested in doing?
For the wildfire,
It would be like
for the
in
fire one?
June, July. We did not come up with a theme yet. Some ideas would be pushing more wildfire stuff, resources, county resources like who do I call for lost pets or building permits or potholes or it could be a welcome from you guys, it could be a welcome from Candace for like a warm little sign up for emergency alerts. I know you guys talked about maybe not doing that.
I think that if we're doing that, I would like to see where it is in the larger communications strategy and plan. So sure, we could like make all these different decisions we've already budgeted for it, right? So if it's in our budget, I'd like to hear what we do with it and why.
So one of the pieces that we kind of shopped around with y'all, and I think is a really good choice, we want feedback, we want connection, and we want the people that live here know how to provide that feedback. So from the menu that Cindy's offered, I would offer as well, this could be a really good tool for that. Cause it's our chance to get a communication out to every single human being that lives in this county.
Yeah.
So that's the direction that I would suggest, we can mock up some ideas with that. Because connection has been one of those huge themes within the larger communication plan that I've been partnership with Sandy and you all driving forward. Cool.
Moving on to Ski Cooper meeting on Thursday. We are in communication with CMC to see if the gym is open at the same time as the climax room because I'm a little concerned about the capacity. I don't know that that room will fit as many people who have shown interest in attending. We have created a Facebook event with about 75 people RSVP'd. And then Ski Cooper made their own event and there's like 40-ish people on theirs.
Yeah, it's just bigger than the climax room will hold on.
Yeah, so I'm a little worried about the roundtable format. I have a note into them to see if the gym is open and maybe we could do presentations in climax and then migrate over to the gym for roundtable breakouts. I've not heard back yet, so.
Okay. I will reach out as well to Ben and see what we can figure out. Who, it's Joey up there, right?
Joe Cecil would be the contact
Joe
for
Cecil.
room reservations.
He referred me to Bob,
Nico?
yeah,
Okay.
so lots of players, but
Yeah.
I can
Well,
give
that's a
him a
good
call.
thing, I guess.
Their language is a little bit different on their event. It's come here, what's on the master plan.
Okay, I have a meeting with John Clapper today to get our agendas straight.
Okay.
So we'll we'll meld them together and include everything.
Okay.
And come up with a way to slice the time frame up as best we can.
Okay.
It might be helpful in that conversation to also make sure that their employees are being invited to the event. Talked to a number who had no idea it was happening, nor that had no input also on the MDP, so. We also are creating a QR code where people can provide feedback if they can't join the event, so that might be helpful to have their staff also.
Awesome, thank you guys for helping out with this, it's a pretty big one.
Yeah, so we made a form on our website with the three main prompts that we'll be asking at the event. You know, what do you love, what do you want to keep or preserve, and then where do you see room for growth? And yeah, I mean, we could talk about follow-up opportunities after the event. Now, or I don't wanna create something unsustainable for staff. I don't know how you wanna follow up with like the draft in the summer with the public.
Do you have time later today where we can connect on this and come up with something more concrete? Okay, let's make up to go over that today.
Do you guys have anything else on for?
It's a lot, so thank you for all your help.
The agenda looks really good. The agenda looks awesome.
Sure.
Alright.
So, House Bill 21-1110, which is an accessibility, and you've heard me talk about WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, a couple times. But this is gonna go into effect this July. So that means that all of Lake County content needs to be accessible for all users all the time. We have done quite a bit of work for this. Originally, this bill was intended to go into effect July 2024, but the state realized the undue burden on different communities because we do not have an accessibility expert at our hands. So to get to all of that, they gave us a little bit more time. So with this new compliance, if an individual finds something that they can't access, we do have a form on our website with the law says 2 ways of contact, but we have 3. So that they can submit that opportunity for us to create an accommodation or remediate that content. However, an individual doesn't have to follow this system, and they can go to the judicial system to figure out what to do with it. So a citation for non-compliance is $3,500. So if we have 285 instances in any of our digital media that is non-compliant, that's $1 million, just to put it in that context. The work that we have done so far, last year, Resolution 2024-15 adopts our plan and strategy and commitment to making all of our digital content accessible for all users. With that, we've been doing our quarterly plan and update. We have formed a technology accessibility team, which is Sammy and I, go team, of the work that we have been doing just to make sure that we are continually progressing in this mandate, but also this culture shift for Lake County government. Last year, we engaged with a firm called Teak to do an audit of our website. Our website content provider, with our agreement, they only have to do to 2.0. The mandate is 2.1 AA, and then DEQ did it for 2.3. So we are at about 95% compliance for 2.0. What does that mean for 2.1? I'm not really sure, but we will figure it out. There are a lot of services out there right now for compliance, and we are gonna look at engaging with one of those. Because I would say one area that we need to continually improve on are PDFs that we upload to our website. The tool that we have right now that's turnkey for most staff is Adobe Acrobat Pro, but that only checks accessibility to 2.0. So it looks like we need an add-on to get to 2.1, and I think we can expect that these rating levels to increase, and so we want to stay with that or ahead of it. It does create a challenge with how we have composed our website. When we transitioned to Civic Plus and Civic Engage, we created point people in each department and we trained them to be website contributors. I don't know if that model is gonna be successful, because right now we're at 95% compliance, but if someone uploads or changes something and they don't have that accessibility thoughts when they're creating it, it's gonna move us back. So right now, we're kind of thinking about how we wanna do the website, because there's 500 pages on there. it's also really hard for one or two people to be that filter or intermediary in checking everybody's accessibility. So we're talking to folks and figuring out our strategy for that. We know we have some PDFs that we need to work with, so we are going to work with a third party to get some of our PDFs cleaned up at $6 per page. We are gonna work with the State Internet Portal Authority to hopefully get a grant to do some of that work. It's overwhelming.
$6 a page.
$6 a page. So any PDF that we have, either A, we need to run through it for accessibility compliance, or we need to outsource. Some of our financial documents, which are items that we unequivocally wanna have accessible for all our users, tables and rows can be a little bit more challenging. I don't have the confidence and fluency to navigate accessibility with those right now, so we do need to outsource for those. So I guess in this comms update, we are committed to accessibility. But we're gonna need a lot of continued support from staff members developing their fluency. We are gonna have to be firm with who we engage with in contracts, that any digital media that they are creating for us is compliant with WCAG 2.0, or excuse me, 2.1. Colorado is kind of at the forefront of these accessibility guidelines, so we are the guinea pigs for the country. There are 8 states that currently or will have adopted accessibility standards. So I think a lot of folks are gonna look to us and see what kind of happens and plays out here. But it does put a lot of pressure to have what we need to have for all of our users. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on some staff that have been working on this. Kindness, grace, patience, all of those things are what we are gonna need to kind of get through this.
I love that stuff. We all need it.
Do you think, how do you feel about how realistic it is to get there by the deadline?
So our main entry point for users is our website, which is at 95% compliance, but that's not looking at our PDFs. So we are gonna have to take down some of our PDFs and make them request only for the time being as we work through this. And then it's gonna have to be working with staff who are content creators to make sure that they're following best practices for all sorts of digital medium. We are pretty darn close, but is 90% compliance good enough? Like, we know it's not, we wanna be 100%, but what does that actually mean as it starts to play out?
I'm guessing there are also gonna be those folks who are kind of fishing for people being out of compliance. What is the financial liability we have for
$3,500 per
incident?
So that's 285 incidents to equal $1 million.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that this legislation is to make information open and accessible to all people.
Makes you hide it. Yeah.
Ding. And so, like I said, it's a lot of pressure for the folks being the mediator. We wanna put it out there, but we just don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
So as a response, we are gonna be working with folks to take down some information as we navigate accessibility, so all of our users can access all the time.
You got it. Go forth, darling, go forth. Continue.
You know, the one thing that we really do need is we've asked for champions from every department. And we haven't got the galvanizing buy-in that would make pulling this wagon a little bit lighter. So we will put out those calls to folks as we get trainings, as we learn more, but it would be really nice to have all county buy-in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can take down the website too.
So we went to a workshop and some legal counsel has advised their counties to just have the statutorily mandated intake portal and take everything else down until we know what shakes. And that's a really interesting feature. I'm not gonna recommend that at this time.
Yeah.
But
Well, I was gonna say, the concern is as you know, with issues like this, you end up with trolls out there.
Mhm.
They
Right.
purposefully go to find violations and then they file suit, that type of thing, in order to make a few bucks
Right.
off of it. So that's more the concern than the fact that we might not be 100% compliant in providing that accessibility to our constituents, so.
Compared to neighboring I mean, how many out of 64 counties do we think these trolls will have to get through first?
Oh, no, Will, and that's not, most of that stuff will be automated, so it'll generate, like they'll send feelers out there, it'll generate a list of the ones that aren't, and then they'll pick and choose with it. I hate to say that my expectation is rural counties like ours might be bigger targets because they know we don't have the internal resources to fight them, whereas Jeffco with their Department of County Attorneys and all that kind of stuff, may do it well.
What do you think about that, Liz?
I think that Chris is talking about a very likely future where someone is gonna deploy a web crawler and just be like, ding. I really hope that that doesn't happen because this is intended for all of our audiences and it's not intended for that purpose to be punitive. So it's very disheartening, but I think it's a very real future that we have to think about. We have done all of the steps that the state has asked. We do have an accessibility tool on our main website. We do have the contact form and we do have an accessibility plan with quarterly updates. So we have some very concrete guards in there. And we will just see what plays out and we will respond and we will continue to work to make all of our digital content as accessible as possible.
Do we have any type of a disclaimer statement on the website now that?
Sure do.
Okay, and I apologize for not knowing that off the top of my head, but that's what I was gonna recommend, was just to say we're making our best effort, because I think that way, if we do end up getting a lawsuit, we will show that we have made the best effort.
And so those are some of the concrete, and now it's working with all of the pieces and parts of Lake County government. We have asked Gold to kind of come home to our website because they haven't had an accessibility scan. We've asked the airport is like, sure, take me home, let's go. The library has done the work that they need to do. We're working with Jackie right now on the additional housing website we have to see what we need to do there. So this is a big shift in the way that we create and think, so we need new strategies behind it, especially with some of our vendors. We're gonna have to work really hard with them because when we engage in a contract, compliance wasn't a part of it. So as we renegotiate, that's gonna have to be in there. The county attorney's office has done a fabulous job. Almost a year ago, we added that language to our professional services agreement that the onus is on you. But this is gonna be heavy, so we gotta split the load and make good choices.
Well, thanks for tackling that.
I'm not scared.
You're not scared, you're
We're
very brave,
confident. We did the work.
capable and competent.
With a disclaimer. Alright. Is that it?
Yes.
Alright, thank you guys so much for all your hard work, you rock. Agenda item number 3, review of the quarterly public trustees report, led by Patrick Smith, treasurer. Go ahead, Patrick.
Lake County Public Trustee as well, I should say that.
Oh, sorry.
That's what most treasurers in the Colorado are, treasurers and public trustees.
Okay.
So if you look at the document I provided you, it just basically tells you what was deposited, what was spent, and what remains. At the bottom of the page, it shows that we've had 61 releases in the first quarter. So that's what the public trustee is tasked with doing, providing the processing, release of deeds and processing foreclosures. So we haven't had any foreclosures in that first quarter. I had a few at the end in December, which carried through. Some got withdrawn, 2 of them got withdrawn. There was one that was not able to be cured, and that's why there's a big deposit at the First Mountain Bank, because that money did, the foreclosure did go to sale and was picked up by another party, and that money will And it doesn't show that on the confirmation deed because that was processed in April. So there was one foreclosure that did go to sale and did pass hands, unfortunately.
That's the 590.
That's the
Okay.
570, 587.
Oh, they do.
So the money that we have at PB&T is all electronic because people like Simplifile and CSC they go electronically, so we process those electronically. That's about it. Got any questions?
I do not.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick. Alright, moving on.
You have to approve my report.
Oh yeah, there's a desired outcome there. Decision, motion.
I'll move to approve the public trustees. Sorry, I'll move to approve the quarterly public trustees report.
I'll second the motion.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Alright,
Thanks, Patrick.
now we're good, okay, thanks, Patrick.
Sure.
Alright, agenda item number 4, informational update regarding current and forecasted wildfire conditions for the 2025 summer season. Led by Office of Emergency Management Director Claire Hathaway.
Hi everyone,
Hello, Claire.
what a great day to do a wildfire weather update, right?
Now that we can breathe a little easier for this week.
So this is something that we're trying that's a little bit new this year. Traditionally, I prepared these kind of updates as requested or as conditions had drastic changes. This year, in talking with Lauren, we decided to kind of do these monthly on your agenda. So you'll see these at the first Tuesday every month from now until September, October, we'll say for now. I do write them to get them in your packet 2 weeks in advance, so I checked everything this morning. Not much changes, but I promise when I come here, it will not be 2-week-old information, just getting everything up in the packet. But this is just my time to come in front of you, talk about what we're seeing around Colorado, what we're seeing across the nation, what our current conditions here in Leadville are, and what our friends over at the Forest Service are sending out and seeing. So again, since this is something new, if there's anything you would like to see, please let me know and I'm happy to include it in future memos or at least send you guys the information if I don't hit it today. So I'll talk about kind of current conditions in snowpack, I'll talk about future forecast, again, what's going on in Colorado, any recommendations that I have to you all in terms of fire restrictions or fire bans or anything else. And then at the bottom of this memo, and I would encourage the public to check it out as well, there's a lot of good informational links. So the Rocky Mountain Area Predictive Services Outlook, current fire restrictions around Colorado, Forest Service BLM, the Weather Service page, and then the Watch Duty app was something that launched last year and has been really successful, so I would encourage everyone to get that on their phone. It's definitely a great resource of information, and it's free. There's a paid subscription as well, but the free version is great. So any questions before I dive in?
What was the name of that app?
It's called Watch Duty. It's got a really great notification sound, so if you have it on both your phones like I do, like explodes, and I'm very familiar with that thing now.
I've been using InstaWeb and I've noticed sometimes they they're a little bit lagging sometimes or behind.
Yeah, InstaWeb is a little bit of an interesting platform. I personally did see last year that Watch Duty did a lot quicker job getting things kind of up and running. So they kind of have a team of people that are kind of doing radio monitoring, they listen to the interagency dispatch centers, and they're pretty quick on the ball. They also post prescribed burns as well. So what we saw with the Aspen burn a few weeks ago, that was on Watch Duty. So if you see smoke in the area, it's a great thing to check to see what's going on there. So as of April 18th, the Arkansas Basin was at 45% average snowpack. This hasn't changed much with the current weather. We've had some overcast days. As of this morning, it was at 45%. State snowpack today is about 53. Up north, those kind of had some higher snowpacks, and we do appear to have peaked at our snowpack about 2 weeks earlier than usual compared to prior years. The Weather Service sent out a packet today for this current storm. The snow we're getting is gonna equal about half an inch to an inch of liquid precipitation, so a nice little boost there. The Forest Service Fire Management Officer, Chris Nacarado, sent out an email on the 16th to partners saying that the upper Arkansas average is about 84% of snowpack, which is lower than the past 2 years. Usually the numbers between the upper arc and the lower arc differ quite a bit just because of climate. So we are a little bit on that higher side compared to the 45% of the Arkansas Basin average snowpack. In that same email, he did inform us that he is moving the Leadville Ranger District to moderate fire danger. He moved Chaffee to high and kept Leadville at moderate, so kind of following that trend, we're in moderate fire danger. The Rocky Mountain Area Predictive Services put out their 120-day outlook. This is a really good packet to review. Again, the link's in the memo. They noted that March was generally warmer than normal. I think we all experienced that during ski touring. And then they're predicting that La Nina conditions will end at the end of April and we'll kind of hit neutral conditions. So neither El Nino or La Nina will just kind of be in a neutral state. We did have our first red flag day of the year on April 12th. We did not have any fires from this event, which was nice to see. The current preparedness level issued to the National Interagency Fire Center is at 1. So if you're not familiar with that, the preparedness level is the NFIC's way of kind of ranking how many resources are available or what's going on throughout the country. So if we're at that level 4 or 5, which we saw last summer, it means that there's not a lot of resource support. We're deploying more national resources. You'll see people deploying kind of across the state, and it's not as easy to order what you need. Preparedness level 1 simply means we have a lot of resources right now. So we're more in kind of an interlock-in situation where we can order what we need and it's pretty easy availability. We're not competing with other incidents. In terms of future forecast, April's gonna bring normal fire potential for southeast Colorado. We're really watching southwest Colorado, which has very low snowpack, and they're gonna have increased significant fire potential for June down in the southwest. The rest of Colorado, including us, will stay at more normal potential. Normal potential is doesn't mean we won't have fires, doesn't mean we will have fires, it just means the risk is normal. Whatever a normal fire season in Colorado looks like is what we're at.
Statewide, are like resources already kind of being shifted towards the southwest just in preparation? Like, I know they got shafted on snow this year. It's like the opposite of how it usually is. They're always getting the big pow days and we're getting shafted, and this year it was like paybacks, but that's not good for fire season down there. So do they start like moving some of the heavier equipment and stuff down that way just in preparation, or do they just kind of wait until actual events?
Not that I'm aware of. I wanna say one of the tribes down there did declare something for a drought emergency. I'm sorry, I don't have the information on the top of my head. But I know they are planning for it. They're also kind of dealing with runoff right now as well.
This kind of puts things here in a little bit dire of a situation, cause it's sort of like, if something starts popping off down there, then our levels of, how stretched thin things are immediately drops, and there's less we can ask for if something happens here after something happens there is basically what you're describing, the whole gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are, I think one fire down there compared to one fire here, that's still something that's very easily manageable. The 4 or 5 preparedness level that I was kind of referencing for NFIC, that was more of a situation where we had like the Alexander Mountain Fire, Stone Canyon, and Quarry all at the same time, plus what's going on in California. That's like when resources are really stretched thin. I would say 2 to 3 fires, depending on the time of year and the area and the size, aren't gonna stretch us too bad in terms of getting support from other areas around Colorado.
Okay.
We are looking at a warmer summer this year, but monsoon season is predicted to begin in July, kind of as normal. Last year we did have a later monsoon season, just for reference. And then summer predictions are still being worked on, just kind of within that 120-day range. But again, we are showing that normal fire season will have whatever a normal amount of fires is in Colorado. And we'll see what happens down in the southwest for sure. In terms of Colorado, just kind of what's been happening lately, we did have a small brush fire on April 17th off of Highway 24. It was contained quickly, did not spread. There was some good wind that day that drove it a little bit. But the cause was a vehicle malfunction. From what I heard is basically something underneath the car exploded and shot off into the grass. Yeah. Meanwhile, on April 12th, Woodland Park, it was kind of on that Douglas-Teller County line, had their turkey track fire. They did reach containment on that pretty quickly. It spread to 28 acres. The cause is human origin and under investigation. There were no major evacuations, just campers in the area. Turkey tracks, there's a shooting range in that area and it caught on fire a few times last year, so I think there's some conclusions that can be drawn. There are no federal fire restrictions on BLM or Forest Service land right now in Colorado. There are a few counties that have stage 1 restrictions, including our neighbor over in Park County. And then I have no current recommendations right now. We're gonna have the Wildfire Resilience Fair, just really getting our community ready to be prepared for fire season.
Did Chiefy take their fire ban out?
Not that I've heard. Did they start?
We got an email about that a while ago.
I didn't know they started, but I heard that they were going to set a fire ban for the summer, but they haven't yet.
I have not heard that's gone into effect.
Okay.
I don't know, Candace, if you've heard anything.
I don't think they've done it yet, but I think they're about to. We just had a fire
Just a blanket,
under 14.
no open fires.
Under the 14ers, and it's pretty, I mean, it's the driest I've seen it in the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're about to.
Thank you so much, Claire. I love that we're gonna have this monthly.
Yeah. Is that helpful? Is there anything else you guys want included or?
Can we organize a rain dance or some sort of rain?
I think that'd be great for the Resilience Fair around the fire pit with the s'mores.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing else from me.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
What about there was that FEMA update that they're increasing the threshold of what it takes to, what we have to reach to be able to receive FEMA funding. I feel like that would be a valuable update in the future. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Claire.
Beautiful.
Alright, on to agenda item number 5, discussion and consideration of a lease agreement between Lake County and Mount Elbert Moto for a motorsports recreation area, led by the BOCC. I'm gonna take lead on this one. I've been spending a lot of time working on this. It reminds me of some of the other situations we've kind of come into where it seems like there's just a lot of separation between what the previous board, where the previous board was at and where we needed to get. So I've sent the lease out to you guys. It has undergone an insane amount of revisions, adjustments, trying to find a middle meeting point. One of the things I do need to point out is through all these revisions and adjustments, there's a lot of clerical cleanup that still needs to happen. Nothing major, nothing that hasn't been discussed by the county and the track operators, even as late as this morning. So with all these last minute adjustments, my suggestion is that since nothing major is gonna change, we can approve the lease with just a few conditions of approval. Such as we need some of the documentation before we can sign it, supporting insurance details, the 501c documentation, and the most recent, it might not even be this year, but the most recent tax filings, which is a 940. And then as long as we have all of that, I'm okay with the language in the lease, pending legal review and agreement between the BOCC and the tenants. There's a section that got omitted that I think initially the tenants thought referred to how they were supposed to build their own jumps. And it actually referred to building structures. And we talked about that, the county talked about that with the tenant, and we were all on the same page with that. So I'm gonna add that back in. And it basically just says that they can't build buildings up there without permits or approval. So
that'll go back in.
that'll go back in.
Yeah.
And that's the only major thing that I don't see that's in there, somehow it got struck out because it was, the perception was that it was telling them how to build their own jumps, which I don't think the county should be doing. Other than that, I am all for that. I do have other notes in support of this, if anybody wants to hear it, but basically was gone over by the community folks who are attending here today. And I'll clarify some of this stuff for the public that's watching, cause I didn't hear it mentioned, but if allowed to operate this year, the Leadville Motocross track will also open an additional day weekly, Fridays, and this will be for locals only. This has gotten some positive feedback from the community, as it'll reduce overall numbers at the track and allow for a very uncrowded and less intimidating atmosphere for locals to ride the track, including youth, and learn basics, skills, whatever. This was something that the operators were willing to offer to enhance the community benefits of the track. Even though, in my view, it already is a beneficial asset to the county, and we are, in my view, we should be getting this thing back open as soon as possible. Other than that, these are gonna be for now, this will be a yearly lease so that we can buy some time to really hammer through any of the other details, or find out what's working, what's not working, and maybe look at what other options there are for the future of this track and to continue to enhance this asset for Lake County. So I would request a motion to approve this lease on the condition that we get the insurance, the 501c, and the tax documents in our hands, and just pending the legal review of and agreement by the tenants in the BOCC on our final cleanup clerical errors. Because there's just like I said, there's been so many revisions that once all the stuff was put back together, there's sentences that just don't even make sense, yeah. So, but other than that, I think we should approve this on those conditions and try and get this thing back up and running as soon as possible.
If I may, Commissioner Lee, I just wanted to acknowledge that we received last year a copy of a certificate of good standing and an insurance policy that runs from June 7, 2024 to June 7, 2025, and I was just gonna confirm with Kim that this is still in place and
That is still in place, and I'll bring the new certificate as soon as we renew at the beginning of June.
Okay,
So
so we have the insurance documents?
that runs until,
Okay.
June 7th, and then as Kim represented, they'll provide the renewal certificate
Okay.
prior to that June 7th date, I presume.
So then we're just waiting on the official 501c stuff, just so we make sure that we have the correct name on our lease, cause I know it's not Leadville MX Park, it's,
Mount Elbert.
okay,
Yeah, which that's the certificate of good standing they provided was from Mount Elbert Moto.
okay.
So all I need to provide her is the tax filing.
And the tax filings, which is, from my understanding from the finance department, something we request of every, organization operating on county property. Cool, so, yeah, that's where we're at with that.
I'll make a motion to approve the lease, contingent upon, the conditions set forth by, Commissioner Lee, including a copy of the official documentation for, what's that?
501c.
501c, the most recent tax filings, the 940 filing, pending legal review, and agreement by the BOCC and tenants.
Seconded, excuse me.
Alright, to a vote?
Can we discuss for a second?
Oh, yes.
Cause I agree, I want the whole thing open, and this lease is, like you said, really still messy. Just the lease, not the
Yeah.
relationship, not the operations, the lease is just messy. And I just have a couple questions about how much it's gonna be tidied up. One of them is in the very first, is in number 1 under purpose.
Yeah.
Says that it will be open to the public, Fridays is available, weekends, and at least one additional weekday per month, weather permitting during periods of operation.
So
I just don't understand that.
that got cleaned up, I'm not sure if you're looking at the previous version of that.
It was just this morning,
We-
so can we pull it up on the
Yeah.
thing so we could at least be
We
working
pulled
with the
that
same-
because they already are open an additional day pretty much every single month for events.
A few extra days a week.
Yeah, and
Sweet.
like,
Monday a month, and then, we do some occasional evenings, like on Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, weather depending,
yeah, we pulled that, yeah,
calendar out each month, so.
you know, the disabled riding stuff and girls ride days and.
It's just complicated in the language,
Right.
so I wanna make sure that our language that we're approving is tidy. So could you, Candace, can you pull up the lease that we're all working off of?
On those, just
Go
the.
down to the teams icon, sorry Chris, at the bottom.
Right,
Yep, and then, yeah, pull it up in the packet.
The only question I was gonna ask with those, with the additional days that they'll be open for
Can I go to
hosting
share?
events and such,
No,
we'll need supplemental
Yeah.
insurance for those, cause their current policy doesn't cover events.
go to share there.
Haven't you talked to the insurance carriers and they were
They haven't had a problem
with
with
the
the girls'
events?
ride or the motor adoption.
Yeah,
They
Just-
carry their own insurance too.
Yeah, but in terms of the insurance policy that the operators carry, it expressly excludes events. And those type of activities, there is not just a practice, as you're actually hosting other groups to have events, would be considered an event. And my concern with that is if something happens, even though they carry their own insurance, if it's not enough and they come back and want to claim against either the operators and or the county, the operators are unlikely to have insurance coverage because their current policy doesn't cover
I'll make sure that
events.
it's in the current
Yeah, if
policy
we,
to,
yeah, to
for
get,
those two things.
yeah, we need to get like
Which-
an endorsement or something. for
I'll make sure
events.
that the motor adoption is covered with the insurance policy and the girls' ride with the June policy.
sweet, thank you, Kim.
Candace, can you scroll down
Yeah.
please?
Sure.
To number 1 purpose. There, cool. Okay, so here it says, shall open to the public on weekends and additional Fridays, weather permitting during periods of operation. And what is that? On weekends and I don't know what an additional Friday.
Additional Fridays is because they're not set in concrete yet, we're still, the tenants and are looking for operators to run the track on the Fridays for the locals
They're
only
looking for-
Fridays.
So
for
right
staff.
now, we're not looking for staff, we're looking for contract, cause we don't have technical staff.
Okay.
But right now, as it stands, Jeff and I have decided that we will, take PTO days from our jobs to each do a Friday a month. So that covers 2, and then, I'm gonna reach out to some other members of the community to see if we can get, somebody to come and volunteer their time with us.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee and I have discussed one member of the community, he was here today and I let him know that I'd be reaching out to him about something with the track. So I think that will go well.
Yeah,
I think he'll be okay helping out.
we just don't wanna overpromise and
Yeah.
overdeliver, I think, on the Fridays, so we need to add a little bit of flexibility, so
Yeah, just-
additional Fridays kind of.
Can we say that as many Fridays as possible? Or like, I don't know, legally, Chris, what is the right word there? Cause it, just so it looks as, so we know on both sides in this legal document what we're doing.
Fridays as available, I think was the original language.
Fridays is available is what it says.
But, and that's, it depends on how you interpret that's available.
I think it's a show of good faith with these guys taking their unpaid time off to make it happen
Yeah,
on
it's-
Fridays. I know they're
yeah,
gonna do everything they
that's,
can to make it happen.
So what we do is we publish a monthly calendar of all the days that we're gonna be open, and so those Fridays will be on the calendar pre-planned.
Yeah, cool.
So that we already know, so the public will know the Fridays and the Monday.
That's awesome. I think, yeah, to me, it's not about, I think it's awesome that you all are gonna try to get Fridays open, I think that's wonderful, how you do it, I wanna support how you do it. That's the whole point, is to try to get it open. So, I just wanna make sure this looks better than what is down here.
I understand what you're saying.
Right?
Right.
And I wanna make sure that Kim, that you all have, that you can do it, because if we're doing Chris, I'm gonna turn to you again, legally to have a contractor, can somebody subcontract under our lease? If they're not, would that be a contract with the?
It wouldn't be a sublease, so yeah, they can,
Not a sublease.
they can choose to whoever, they're not subleasing under the lease those operating days, cause that wouldn't be permitted without the BOCC's consent.
Right.
So if there was another operator said, we'll come in and we'll operate every Friday for you, then I would invite them to come back and say, hey, we found this resource that's willing to do it every Friday, so we don't have to take our paid leave to do it.
Right.
Will you consent to a sublease for these purposes, and then we'll help them develop the appropriate sublease for that, if that's the case. But I would just say typically that doesn't alleviate responsibility of the operators for those subtenants, if you will, so.
Okay, cool. So that, Kim, it's totally up to you, it was your time, but I think it'd be fabulous if you could find somebody out to sublease to make that Friday open. Just so it's all legally tight and tidy and we're all protected, like you said. So I get that you all taking your time off, we would still remain tight and tidy, but if there are other people you could use.
Well, it could be, we can also use a member of the board, or we can use another general member.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at doing. We're not looking at pulling somebody from completely outside, it's membership driven.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you.
Cool.
And then the other question I had, just a second. It's on page 1, and I don't understand this, Chris, page 1 is the summary.
It's like a summary of it, yeah, and I'm not, we did go through this morning, we recognized that there were some inconsistencies between the summary there, that's it, go back and canvas those. It's just a summary of the basic terms.
Okay, cool, yep.
And so we went through and, at least I did, I don't know if it showed, but went and made those consistent with the other enumerated provisions in the lease.
Thank
So
you.
they should be all the same now.
Thank you, that is far tidier. Awesome. And then number 10, go down to number 10, that's the one I just wanted to check had gone back in.
Keep going down.
That's number 9.
Yeah.
You got this, Candace.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yep, go back up. See, 10, it hasn't been reinstated yet, so 10 is the one that was inadvertently admitted about the structures.
Yeah.
That will need to go back, and that's why, as Andy was saying, there's some cleanup stuff that needs to go into this, and so approving this pending final legal review will make sure that everything's put back in and that it's clean in terms of the formatting and all of that kind of stuff before it's actually signed.
Love it, love it. And then when the motocross closes this year, I don't want you all to be stuck in this situation where you all are hoping to open this weekend or next weekend. And that this is only now in front of us. We only received the lease yesterday. And I don't think that that's good for any of us involved or the public to wonder if it's gonna happen. So it says in the lease that we'll re-approach this in October. I just wanted to make sure that that's a good time for you. It's also our budgeting season, so I also want to set expectations appropriate, that might be when we have our first conversation, but if we could also allow for a little bit of.
It says October to December.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense.
that's our budget season though too,
Right.
just FYI.
And
Okay,
we'll make the time, I mean, as
Thank
long
you.
as we're revisiting this to sign before May.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
awesome, okay, good, just wanted to make sure that felt good to you.
definitely,
Cool,
we can work around your budgeting season.
thank you.
May I ask
What?
just one more thing?
Yes, please.
I didn't notice, I just was up there running and noticed a water truck that I believe is owned by the county.
Mhm.
I think there needs to be specific, like CDL that you have to drive those, and also has the county
So
given
we
its-
don't use the county, that one's just sitting up there.
Okay.
My club bought its own,
Okay,
the
so you
county,
need
and
to
so
get
we
that
need
out
to
of the
work
way.
with Mike and
Okay.
Mabel about getting
Awesome.
that
Removed.
taken, it was up there for, honestly, for fire mitigation. That we were allowed to use it if we kept it full in case there's a fire up there. So we have it, but we do not use it.
Okay.
The club bought its own.
Cool.
So I'll follow up with Michael, and you can either way, so we can see about getting that removed before y'all actually
Yeah.
start, cause you don't.
I mean, unless the county wants us to keep it up there full so that it's there for access, if we can, I mean, take it, fill it and leave it up there full for access for wildfire mitigation, that was part of the emergency management that we had started way back with when Brad Palmer was over Road and Bridge, working with him and Mabel. Like that was kind of the agreement, we can use it, but it's gotta be full. We're happy to leave it full in case something happens up there.
Just run that by Claire, it's not the worst idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ken.
For that, thank you.
Okay, I'm ready to vote.
I have a couple questions, cause
Yeah.
first is the demand there for more weekday operating hours?
It's gonna be I mean, we've heard from one member of the community that it's not open enough during the week. I mean, people would like it, but honestly, the weekdays don't really draw that much business. We chose a Monday specific to industry people, because all the bike shops they're all closed on Mondays to kind of reach more of an audience, and honestly, the Friday thing is gonna be an experiment. We have no idea what kind of draw that we're gonna have for locals only, cause we do have a high volume, a high level of locals coming in over the weekend anyway.
Okay, and then second question is the reason that we have a non-voting board member from the county. Can we, why doesn't our representative from our county on your board get to have a vote?
Well, we didn't want anybody on the board to begin with. We've been trying to decouple from the county. When we first started, we were under the Placer umbrella, and we attended all these meetings, and all the Placer meetings, it was how do we get the motocross track out and doing its own thing. So we figured out a way to, we used all of the money that came in to buy our own equipment so we could separate ourselves from the county to operate independently, because these recreation, they didn't want us to be a part of it. We didn't want anybody from the county on our board, but as a concession, as a show of good faith, we said we would take a member as a non-voting.
Has that member been selected yet?
We thought it's supposed to be Andy Lee.
Well,
That's who we agree if it's Andy Lee. I mean, we had we'd like it to be Andy Lee.
If I can just ask a clarifying question there, what 501 category are you guys?
C7.
C7, okay, cause there are certain requirements for each of those 501c organizations to have a board. They unfortunately have to have a board, it designates how many, and in some instances, you can't have folks that's a membership organization, right? So sometimes you can't have outside third parties as voting members unless they are in fact members. So similar to the EDC, which is a 501c, membership as well. In the past, the county has been a member, which allowed it to have a representative on the board. So just some nuance with that kind of stuff. So it is 501c6. Right, Kim? Did I get it?
7.
Oh, 7?
Yeah, it's a club, like a
Yeah.
a club
Club.
instead.
Kim, could I'm trying to think ahead to October, when we get to chat again. Do you all do data collection about like where somebody is from or their age?
The only time we collect age is on a minor specific waiver.
Okay.
And then I don't track specifically where people are from, but I mean, other than just in small talk as they come through the gate.
Yeah.
If the county would like to see kind of, I'm happy to pull some of that, collect some of that data for the county.
I think it would be cool,
Mhm.
I'm not saying it has to be built into this lease, this is completely separate, but I think it would be neat in October if we were like, awesome, all of our locals are coming on Sunday or whatever the data shows, it'd be really interesting.
So I do know that Sunday late afternoon is a big day for locals.
Yeah.
Because the Front Range traffic leaves early.
Yeah.
And the Front Range traffic comes in and burns really good lines into the track, and then the locals come out and have a blast with it.
Nice.
So we have a lot of Sunday afternoon is a big time for locals. When we would do more Thursdays, it wasn't local specific to Lake County. We had a lot of traffic from surrounding counties, but we also had, like a lot of people would come from the Front Range. Like there's a guy that used to come up every Thursday from Weld County. Weld County. He lived in LaSalle, Colorado, LaSalle to Leadville to go ride for a couple hours, and then he would drive home. But I'm happy to collect some of that data.
I'm not saying
as
you
part
have
of the
to,
lease,
no.
just,
I would be interested.
I can do a county map and do little ticks on what county are they from.
That'd be cool.
I have no problem
Thanks.
doing that, cause it's primarily me sitting in that gatehouse anyway,
Okay,
talking to people.
it could potentially help us kind of like make the case to find funding or partners too, to make the motor track like a bigger deal even, if we have data to support any leverage we're looking for.
And we wanna make sure it's open to people statewide, considering it was started with Stay the Trail funding.
Yeah,
And so it has to be open to statewide people, we can't just restrict it. But we do love the idea of a Friday only for locals of, you know, and when people tell me that they're a local, I'm always like, what's your address? Like, who are your
prove
parents?
it.
And I do that because, like, if it's somebody, if it's like an 18-year-old kid that's there that tells me, you know, I live, you know, love it, whatever, cool, come on in, ride. Other locals, I charge them $20. I mean, it's just, we do all these special concessions for people that live here in Lake County that we don't do for people even in the surrounding counties.
That's cool.
We wanna show the most love, cause we're like, this amazing facility is your backyard.
Yeah.
You should be able to use it. And we would do a thing with minors where we'd meet their parents, and then their parents would dictate how the kids were allowed to use the track, right? The parents sign off on a waiver, we talk with them, and then parents say, give us emergency contact info, and the parents tell us, my kid can come and go. And so the kids would come up, they can ride, we have the parents' emergency contact should something happen. So we've done a lot of things to open it specific to Lake County people.
I think it's cool, and I just wanna say, I hear how you all have been treated, I hear how that's felt, and I really feel like some data could help tell the story better for the people who don't understand, or the people who have like biases against
outsiders.
Heck yeah, biases against anyone, right? Like, I wanna help you all tell your story, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Thank
in
you.
that event, not part of the lease,
No.
I will gladly collect data.
Thank you.
I like
Yeah,
data.
it'd be great to know how many users able to sign it too.
Definitely. I mean, I can pull those numbers, I have it all,
Yeah.
to tell you how many people come.
Yeah.
But just to tell you where they're coming from, it'd be nice to tell you that story.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Matt Bondy said it was originally 80 acres.
It was supposed to, so what happened, it turns out that the FAA owned most of that 80 acres. And that, they came out and they did a boots on the ground with Brad Palmer too. And it turns out of the 20 acres that we're on, the only part that the FAA owns is where the vault toilet is in the parking lot, but none of the actual track area is owned by the FAA. So that's why we stopped all the additional phases, because we just didn't have the land to do it anymore.
But you're saying they own a smaller portion than you initially thought?
They own, of the 20 that we're on now, they own a little sliver where the toilet is and the parking lot, and then the rest of that we were going to develop on is theirs. So that's why we've just stayed where we are and worked to improve just the one track that we have. Cause that's all we can do.
Is there any opportunity for expansion?
I mean, depends on what you guys do with the other land that's there, right? There's like, you guys own the land, the big sagebrush field that's between the track and the shooting range. I mean, we had a whole long-term plan that we wanted to see, like RV parking and like all of this, like RV camping, all of these things up there with multiple tracks, different levels, a vintage track, the medium level that we have. There's talk about Supercross. There was a whole plan, but when we found out we couldn't develop those other 70 acres or whatever, 80 acres, we just stopped and put everything into the track that we have.
Has anybody contacted you from the people who are planning, we're in a planning phase up there? Have you spoken to
One
them?
community project?
No, it's
No,
the
the-
airport.
The entire process.
Isn't there a business park that's supposed to be going up there?
They're doing a planning,
Industrial?
yeah, they're doing some initial.
We were hoping to grab electricity and water, like originally we wanted electricity and water from that.
And sewer.
And sewer, we wanted all of that.
Yeah.
But everything got put on hold because of the
I should
land.
connect you with those planners, cause we gave them some money and then they got a grant. So we're in the process of trying to plan what's going on up there. They should definitely be talking to you.
That's being run by Adam Ducharme and Josh together.
Millennials.
Who's gonna connect them? Staff, can we ask
I got
staff to do that?
Oh,
Was that staff? Cause that's what they're here for. Sorry, somebody nodded their head. Was that you, Lauren?
I can do it.
Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Michael Irwin also has his hand raised, so maybe we could.
I like the idea of a campground up there, that'd be cool.
Yeah, there's just so like Lake County, that little area for camping and like the people that use the motocross track also love to shoot guns, and it would be just awesome to make that like, come up here and park. Like you could even make it pay so the county operates it and makes money off of it.
Yeah.
And people would come up and, to be able to camp and go ride your dirt bikes and then ride to go to the shooting range is like, what a great fun weekend.
A lot of them are probably camping up here anyway.
They're camping anyway.
Sleeping in their vans somewhere
Mm-hmm.
off the side of the road or.
And
That's how the
like-
bowmen do, that's what the archery range is like.
Yeah, they're
There.
on site.
I've camped up there, it's awesome.
Well, thanks you guys, we look forward to getting
Let's
this thing
listen,
open.
let's listen to Michael real quick. Hey, Mike, go ahead. If you wanna unmute and.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, yes, all of the motocross track is on FAA land. It doesn't press anybody to move it. Everything from the road, County Road 45, that's the straight road that goes to the motocross track. Everything to the west of that is FAA land. That's why that road was built that way, because it's right on the section line for that property.
Mm-hmm.
So everything to the end of the runway is FAA on the west side of that road.
So if we do anything expansion wise, it's gonna have to be to the east or to the south, right?
Yes, and the original lease is actually to be on the west side of the airport, not on the east side of the airport.
This wouldn't be the first time the county has put things in the wrong place. Fortunately, but we're working with what we got now and trying to make the best of it. Thanks for that
That's
update,
correct.
Mike.
I just wanted to make sure that we knew that.
Yeah, no, we can't build jumps over the runways. Would be cool, but cool photo op. Alright, Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns from anyone in the room?
I'd like to thank the county commissioners for their consideration of this. I think it's an important, county public resource. Personally, I feel pretty strongly about it, but I know there's been some controversy and I think you've worked through it very nicely. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg, that means a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
And he
Means a
worked
lot.
really hard on this. Turns out he's a pretty hard worker in general.
My gosh, you're right.
Means we get to transfer more work onto his plate.
Once this is off my plate, there's room for more, huh? Cool, alright, so we had the motion on the table, now we'll go to a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Ken,
I'll
thank
get
you,
that,
Jeff.
I'll get that tax document over.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys do and everything you have done.
Have a good season.
Thank you, come up and see us, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
when is the
I got an
safest,
extra bike for you.
when are the beginners
There you go.
safest?
Are you kidding me? It would be safe for you to go out there anytime, guarantee.
No, not safest in terms of like physical safety, I mean like for a learner to learn for their mental load.
Like, least intimidating?
Least intimidating,
Well, as long as
thank
we
you.
get girls right going, that's a great time, because there's an actual coach there,
Oh, sick, that's the time,
so
thank you.
you betcha. We'll let you know. Thank you.
Alright, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, commissioners, commissioner day.
I love it. I have a scooter and I take it on, it's electric.
I wanna see you doing the jumps on that scooter, yeah.
I go as high as I can on some of those east side trails.
I've got an
It's not very
approved,
far.
an approved, motocross bike you could ride, it's much safer.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
You let me borrow it?
Yes.
No, my scooter bottoms out all the time.
That's fair.
In the interest of safety, we have something else for you. Okay, agenda item number 6. Discussion and consideration of the adoption of resolution 2025-16. Resolution adopting a letter of support or opposition from the Lake County Board of County Commissioners policy. Led by Lauren Snyder, Deputy County Manager. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've noticed since you all have started, you've gotten a lot of emails asking for letters of support. They come in many different ways, and we're trying to formalize how you as a board decide to move forward with authoring a letter of support on behalf of the county. So this policy gives you a few different options depending on how that letter or that request comes in, either of opposition, which is less frequent, or of support, which is more frequent. One, it outlines that individual commissioners can write letters of support expressing their support or opposition to an issue. It has to clearly say Commissioner Elsa is offering her support for this, not on behalf of the board. So you can do that anytime you want, but just it is required to be very clear that it is on behalf of you and not the board. If a staff wants to author, right, oftentimes we'll have, DHS or public health supporting a grant for one of our community partners and they want the Department of Human Services support. They're gonna have to get your ability, your express support to be able to have them author something. And so if a staff wants to author something, they're gonna have to come in front of the BOCC and I can go through that process in a second. Or if somebody from the community wants a letter of support from the board, you'll have to ratify that as a group. So basically the process that will happen is if the staff receive a letter of support, they will have to go through Sandra requesting to be on your next agenda, the next regular meeting. They'll have to have the letter drafted as well as a memo outlining why, who, all of the details. And that right now, and we can discuss this, I'm proposing for that to go on your consent agenda. You can always take something off of your consent agenda. I've just gotten direction or heard from the board that you are interested in putting more on the consent agenda and not as a full discussion item, but it's up to you, that can go either way. If the board has been outreached directly,
you'll do the same thing, reach out, put it on the next BOCC regular meeting. Reminder, we have 2 weeks ahead of time that we have those submission requirements. And that will also trigger for the county manager to notify staff, so that, say the BOCC member is asking for a letter of support for an organization and the staff has issues with it, it gives time for the staff to put something into a memo for you to say, hey, did you think about this other consequence? So there's feedback both ways, right? Staff says why something's great or not good, or you can give staff feedback before you sign something. We know oftentimes, you may have noticed, letters of support come in like 2 days before they need the letter. It's just how things happen. Not everyone's a great planner. So in times that there are time sensitive and the BOCC is really interested in signing a letter, the county manager can waive that requirement of putting it on the next regular meeting, as long as they send that the letter previously drafted to each of the BOCC members and they okay it individually. It can move forward as a letter from the BOCC, but it's gonna have to be ratified on the consent agenda at the next regular meeting. So either way, it'll come before you and have a formal vote. The policy you can read 4, 5, and 6, there's outlines about when it's not gonna be issued. So like politics, religion, anything that conflicts with law or policies. It's pretty straightforward. It also outlines what the content needs to be. So information, contact information, background information, the organization, mailing address, and then it also has the request procedure. So that's the policy in a nutshell. Any questions?
I would like to offer a clarification here. My recommendation would be to have them initially put on the regular agenda, and then when the agenda is reviewed in advance, you can decide whether they can be placed on the consent agenda. My concern is, in the past, some of these letters have created some angst in the community, and I think for transparency, it might be better for y'all to have them on the regular agenda, as Sandra did at the beginning of today's meeting, went through the agenda for the next regular meeting. At that point in time, you can make a determination if you want to put them on the consent agenda. But I think just to advance your priorities of transparency and stuff, that would be my recommendation. So that they don't automatically go on the consent agenda.
I like that.
Lauren, does that throw a wrench in the implementation of 2025-16?
No, it's not really in the policy, it's just how we operationalize it. It can go either way. You can keep them on and then make a motion or decide you want to put something on the consent. You can also just say we defer, put them on the consent, and we pull them off. If we think something's going to be, I would assume Candace or someone else would say, hey, this is gonna be a little contentious. Most of our letters of support requests are, can you support us with a grant opportunity or something that's pretty,
super straightforward.
very straightforward.
I feel like I've gotten so many,
So
and they're
then,
all like, yes, just send me the thing. I'll put it on my letterhead. I would rather have them on consent. I feel like it's all transparent regardless of whether it's on consent or within the meeting. And it's up to us if we wanna move them, either way. The ones that I've seen are, will you sign this to help us get this grant request for funding for immigrant families, funding for
water infrastructure,
sewer infrastructure, the Tabor Opera House, the Bright Start camp, like it's all really, yes, go get that money, yes, we support you continuing to do your job.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would rather not have our meeting. I'd rather have it on consent and moved off if we want to.
Is there a way to flag, like differentiate ahead of time between?
And so, am I correct, the consent agenda, do those items get memos to support them as well?
Yes.
It's required in the in the policy that they all have to come with a memo, unless the BOCC puts it on.
And they do all go in the packet, in the consent agenda, the
Yes.
general packet item. What we haven't been technically doing with the consent agenda is adding the memo to the agenda and posting it like we have been with the actual items of the memos, but the memos are in the packet with the letter. It has its own packet item under the consent agenda packet, if that makes sense.
I mean, regardless, you're being more transparent than you have been.
For sure.
Before, the BOCC would just sign something, move forward, no one would know that the BOCC supported it.
Wasn't even in a consent agenda.
We weren't voting
Not
on anything.
uniformly, cause I know there have been some along the agendas in the past, and if they weren't, I wasn't aware that they were being signed without them coming before the public.
There's one that we signed for sanitation that we never voted on, but each one of us agreed
Yeah, it just
through
hasn't
the
been
county
happening.
manager
Yeah,
that we would put it on a shared letterhead.
that I'll just say that does constitute
An open
business, that you should, as a process, it needs to be on.
Right, and this is solving
This
that.
is what we're
This is the
remedying, moving
transparency.
forward.
And I think part of it, if we haven't been making those memos and the drafts and stuff available as part of the packet, that the public can ask for, and we want to do that as well. Just so they have an opportunity to advance, so that what I'm trying to help y'all avoid are situations where you approve a letter of support and then all of a sudden it gets out there in public and they're like, well, we didn't see this, we didn't have the opportunity to review it, we didn't have the opportunity to provide public comment on it. And the other thing too, in some of the stuff with the support of the grants and stuff like that, especially if they're intern grants, making sure if they're matching funds and stuff, whether they're budgeted or not and all of that. So there's a lot of different nuances that might come into play with these letters of support as well.
So before they hit a consent agenda, they should be reviewed in the calendar work sessions, is what you're
That would be
suggesting?
my recommendation, that at least when Sandra, like today, she went through the agenda for the next regular meeting to make sure that everything that's listed there, y'all laid eyes on it, are comfortable with it and that kind of stuff. So it doesn't end up, but the concern with that then is, as Lauren mentioned, sometimes you get them a day or two before the grant application is due and you don't have the luxury of that, so the ratification aspect, you have to know that that's coming up for ratification, and if that, but the problem is already done, so if any of you have concerns with what's already been signed off on ratifying it, is, I guess.
Yeah, the nice thing is that we do bring in the county manager into all of these processes, so Candace will be going over the agenda, reviewing what's on there, so she'll have an eye on it, and then also if it goes in front of you all for a joint decision, Candace also has to check on that, and she has a great finance mind, so understanding if that's gonna have implications to the county as well.
Right.
And it is possible to, usually the consent agenda doesn't, it's not every single time that it has an item on there that requires a memo. So usually don't mess with that, but when we do, there's no reason why we can't do the same thing we've been doing with the other agenda items and say see memo and just link it to that in the agenda also when it's posted, so then that way it's out there too, just easier to see.
Cause I noticed like this consent agenda for today is like 12 items.
It's huge,
So,
yeah.
So I guess one of like special event permits and stuff, what if you adopt this and say, okay, they're gonna go on the consent agenda instead, is that gonna apply for the race series as well next year?
And
Right, we get to
there,
decide,
You have
is
to,
the
there has to
thing.
be some consistency for that, and that's why my recommendation was to start it on the regular, say there's nothing with this, move it to the consent. And that way you're at least being thoughtful about, what the potential impact would be.
I guess the question there is, does the board trust staff to separate out the ones we should have eyes on? More eyes on, and have more transparency with the community on, versus should we be doing that ourselves with every?
It should be both.
Okay.
100% we should be looking at the consent agenda and deciding if we want it to be there. Also,
For transparency reasons, not that we aren't looking at everything on the consent agenda, but should we have that discussed and open for comment, I think is the concern.
okay. How is it not open for comment?
and all of that stuff is in the packet too.
No, I mean public, are you talking about public comment?
Yeah.
that's open for public comment, just like
Okay.
anything else on our agenda.
Okay,
Also, we have a county manager who is looking over our entire agenda and discussing with us whether something should be on or not. I don't know if this is feeling like a bigger deal to me than, I'm getting like that it's a bigger deal to some people than it feels like to me, and I don't quite understand it. But in my mind, the requests that I have seen come across my desk and our shared emails, they are very basic
yeah,
letters of support. And to me, it seems like the rule is that all of these, in my mind, I would have happily had on the consent agenda. And the exception is taking it off of the consent agenda, as opposed to it being like, oh, we should have discussed all of these things and voted on them each separately. That to me does not seem like the rule of what I've seen. So that's been my 4 months of
They're just formalizing it, so I'll make a motion to approve a resolution establishing a policy regarding the issuance of letters of support or opposition, resolution 2025-16.
seconded.
to a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. On to agenda item number 7, discussion and consideration of the adoption of resolution 2025-17. A resolution adopting a signature authority policy. This is led by County Manager Candace Ryans. Thank you, Candace.
So this policy would allow the county manager or designee to execute agreements and documents with a value no greater than $25,000. So in this signature authority policy, Lake County government enters into agreements and the BOCC executes contracts in the conduct of its business and management of various projects and programs. So this policy would authorize the county manager or designee to execute agreements with a value no greater than $25,000, so long as the expenses are budgeted, or budgeted expenditures that are authorized through the BOCC's annual budget adoption. Those items would then be ratified at the next regular meeting of the BOCC. And there are 2 other kind of provisions of the policy. So Lake County government regularly enters into memorandums of understanding and facilities use agreements, and IGAs and other similar agreements and contracts that are renewed or updated on a year-over-year basis in the normal course of business. This policy would authorize the county manager or designee to execute those agreements and documents that are year over year, so long as there are not substantive changes. These include the approval of our yearly state allocation contracts and state agencies for statutory departments like the road and bridge, human services, public health. Those items would then be ratified on the next regular BOCC meeting. And then lastly, all contracts or agreements that were not budgeted, expenditures that were authorized through the annual budget, must be approved by the BOCC at a regular meeting. However, if the contractor agreement is approved by the county manager and finance director, unbudgeted contracts of $10,000 or below may be added to the consent agenda at the next regular meeting of the BOCC. More details are provided about budgeted and unbudgeted expenditures in our overall financial policy. At any time, the BOCC can remove an item from the consent agenda for full discussion.
Can I try to work this through with an example?
Yeah.
See if I understand? Okay, say the library roof needs a $9,000 repair. That wasn't budgeted. This would allow the county manager to be the signatory on a contract that gets that roof repaired. And then it would come to the BOCC to be ratified later.
Yes.
Cool. But if it was, say the county library needed a roof repair of $14,000 and we had budgeted that, also that would be allowed under this.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then the provision for the 10,000 or below, we really are trying to streamline our grants tracking process. So there are small grants that are upfront awards and those are contracts. So the library gets, we love the library gets $7,000 to get books, there's no match, there's no upfront cost to be reimbursed, they just get $7,000 to get books. Those sorts of things we don't really wanna hold people up on as long as there are no reporting requirements and it's just an upfront award. We don't wanna hold people up on applying for those types of grants when they're small in nature, so 10,000 or less. So that is part of the intention of that last piece, is to really not hold people up when there's not a match, there's no upfront cost, and there's no reporting requirement for those types of things.
And if these aren't coming in front of us, if these get put onto the consent agenda, so they are coming in front of us, but if the signing is happening and it's on the consent agenda, we could take that off of the consent agenda to talk about it, but is there a different way we could be communicated with? It's like in the county manager updates, like, hey, this was awarded and this was awarded, so that it doesn't have to be something that we're reviewing through an agenda item, but that we could still be updated on in the big picture.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Or even like, more, just an update, like, hey, I got, as they come up, or is that too much? I mean, how many are we talking, a week?
I think it depends on the time of year, like MOUs, facility use agreements, IGAs, those would probably be a lot of them. And so we would have those listed, but really we're going through a lot of those this year with a fine tooth comb. And reworking a lot of them, so as long as we're not changing them, they would just be a renewal and they would be listed.
Is there many of these yearly renewals that can be changed to like double 2 years or 3 years, or that would help improve operational efficiency?
That is up to you. We couldn't make that change in this policy, that is when it would. That is when it would come to you guys first before this. This would just be if there's no change.
Yeah, sorry, that was just me thinking out loud, like what this is geared towards operational efficiency, and then it seems like kind of a large workload of these kinds of small agreements that need to be renewed often. Something to think about.
I like the idea of solving the operational efficiency, and then there's also the having the discussion in the public eye and for us to like be educated as commissioners. And I think, and I'd love to hear suggestions about if there are other ways we could solve that second part. Not the operational efficiency, this seems to solve it, but if there are other ways that we could make sure that the public's aware. If we're just saying yes and it's on the consent agenda, that doesn't like lend itself to discussion and information sharing, so. Yeah, so the county manager update.
Yeah.
Seems like the best spot.
So would you want everything in there?
Things that seem, yeah, I guess it depends on who your commissioners are, or what the conversation is in the community. If we've got 3 brand new commissioners, then yeah, I would talk about everything, but just so that there's information shared. Or if in the community, people are really worried about the library, anything that's on the consent agenda or that has been signed that we're ratifying through the consent agenda, that gets highlighted about the library.
Okay.
I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
I like what you're saying. Yeah.
I just think like the state allocation contracts might be the only thing, I mean, that's just like our normal word from the state every year and not holding us up on accepting it, so maybe those just in the consent, not like listed, cause those are just normal state allocations we get.
For sure, but if you have 3 new commissioners and we have no idea where we get that money from, that's an opportunity to be like, hey, FYI, this is how this works. Yeah.
But we also want, I mean, you can just email each of us if it's stuff like that, not take the time to do it in your regular updates verbally.
Yeah, you could just use your discretion. Cause when we do things publicly and out loud, it also allows our who's watching to learn. That they don't get through our emails. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna, do you wanna say anything else?
I have nothing to add to this.
Okay. I'm going to move to approve the adoption of resolution 2025-17. A resolution adopting a signature authority policy.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, call a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alright, I would like to request, or I'm gonna call for a 10-minute point of privilege break here. Just to let everyone in the room stretch their legs just a little bit.
Thank you.
Yes, and we will reconvene in 10 minutes. That is, the back clock's wrong, hold on. At 1:17. Alrighty, it's 1:17, we're going to resume this regular meeting of Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Next is agenda item number 8, discussion and consideration, excuse me, of a professional services agreement with Teak Simonton for support of the 2025 election to be held on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Led by County Clerk Tracy Lauritsen. Go ahead, Tracy.
Thank you. Teak Simonton has been under contract with our office for the last 2 years, providing her expertise in elections. She was previously for 12 years the Eagle County Clerk and Recorder, and she's currently the Eagle County Treasurer also. So she has provided invaluable service to us because maybe you guys don't know, but when I came in here, I had no ability at all to run elections and definitely needed someone to come in and guide us. So this is for this year to help out with the elections, with any work that might need to be done on the state database for voter registration. Last year, she helped us clean up our address library, made it much more logical and easy to use. And she continues to be election certified and able to use the state database, which you do have to be certified to use. And it is a budget thing.
Oh, that was my next question, thanks. So this is how we've been getting our elections done smoothly, efficiently, with outside assistance. Do you ever see a time where we have in-house staff and everyone trained up to a point where we don't need to rely on outside support, or is this just something that would be beneficial no matter what level of expertise we have in-house?
I'm actually thinking this year, especially because there's only one election, that we probably won't go to $10,000. But things like the logic and accuracy tests that we're required to do is extremely complicated because, well, I won't go into it, it's extremely complicated. So having her available to make sure that we do it correctly, those are the things that are most important to me, is just make sure we're following the law, doing everything correctly. But yeah, I think this year, we should be in good shape with one election. We did lose our election person last year, right before the election. So it's really helpful to have her. And then I had a health issue right before the November election, and she was able to step right in and run the November election for us.
Just to help educate myself, this isn't exactly specific to this, but it is in the subject. If we get something wrong with our elections and how things happen, the cost of like fixing that, or like, you know, if you have to do a recount or like like what happens if we do make a misstep during an election process and the state's like, you guys didn't do this right? What does that look like? Does that cost the county excessive amounts of money to like redo that, or?
A recount is an automatic, there are two ways to have a recount. It's automatic and it's less than 0.5% of difference in votes. Or a candidate comes forward and wants to recount. If the candidate asks for it, they have to pay for it. I don't know about doing something wrong and having the state come in and tell us to do it again. I've never heard of that happening in my tenure here, so.
Yeah, I wanna wrap my head around, you know, how important it is to do everything like exactly perfectly.
Well, I think just for the trust of the community, that's important.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Okay, well, I will make a motion to approve the renewal of a PSA with Teak Simonton to help with election duties, provide expertise on score, including address the address library, provide guidance and expertise on state required election requirements, including the logic and accuracy test, canvases and ballot proofing, among other items. This is a PSA with Tracy Lawrenson and the Lake County Clerk and Recorder, and is a budgeted item.
Seconded.
God, that was a lot of verbiage, I didn't even do all that.
You don't have to read the memo, you can read the.
Yeah.
I can't,
The title.
I can't find anything that's going on.
Thank you.
Super thorough.
Yeah.
I do second that thoroughly.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Alright,
Thanks.
excellent.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, agenda item number 9, discussion and consideration of lottery guidelines and procedures for phase 2 of the Housing at 10-2 project, led by Housing Program Manager Jackie Wellahan. Go ahead, Jackie.
Hello, thank you. So Jennifer is joining us also, Jennifer Commode of Commode Consulting. She has been hired by my rural planner to assist us with this process. And I don't know if you've met Jennifer before, but she is fantastic. She assisted the Housing Authority with creating community guidelines and helped us with our first lottery. So her background is, right now she's a consultant, but in the past she was the housing director for Summit County and for Gunnison counties. So she is very experienced in this, and so we're very lucky to have her. And you will see in your packet, you have the community housing phase 2 lottery process. And so Jennifer will answer any questions that you have. I'm just gonna kind of run through some of these important dates, because things are gonna be happening very rapidly now that we are moving forward. So May 12th, we'll have applications available. The applications are extensive. It's almost like applying for your mortgage, so the same packet that you would deliver to your lender, you deliver to us, and then Jennifer will go through those and qualify the applicants to make sure they qualify for the housing, because we are AMI restricted on this project. And then the next date the applications are due on June 13th. We do have a lockbox downstairs outside of community planning and development that people can access 24 hours a day. They can call me, I'll pick up the packet, or they can just drop it off. We ask that they drop it off. We don't want anything delivered electronically because of the secure data that's in the applications. And then on the 7th, we'll send out certificates, letting them know if they qualify or not. And then Michael talked about this a little bit before. There is a qualification appeal process, so that will begin on my birthday. That's so exciting for me, July 11th. And then those applicants, we're going to ask that the Housing Authority hear those. We didn't have any appeals last time. We don't anticipate having any, but in the event that we do, we have that process set up through the Housing Authority. Lottery will take place then on July 23rd. And we're hoping to have lots of people in this lottery. And then again, there's a process to appeal that as well on July 25th. And then we're looking to have contracts executed July 28th. We're doing this all very quickly to give Oakwood security that we have all the buyers in line for the project. So, any questions?
What would an appeal be? You could appeal your denial?
Yeah, so if you got denied and you wanted to appeal the denial, so it's gonna be pretty clear, we're gonna just be basing it on if you live currently or you work in our neighboring, Lake County, Chaffey, Eagle, or Summit, and that you make 140% of area median income or less. So, just for that reason.
Okay, I move to approve the lottery guidelines and procedures for phase 2 of the Housing at 10-2 project.
I'll second the motion.
Alright, to a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks,
Thank you so
Jackie.
much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie.
Alright,
Do you want me to stay here? I wanna support you, I know you wanna feel supported.
Those are houses.
alright, agenda item number 10. Discussion and consideration for approval of the backcountry search and rescue grant to purchase a boat for Lake County Search and Rescue. This is led by Sheriff Heath Speckman.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Going fishing, I guess. So in 2024, Lake County Search and Rescue applied for a backcountry search and rescue grant through the Department, or Colorado Parks and Wildlife. So they got awarded the grant, and the purpose was to purchase a boat. Currently they have two boats, they have the Zodiac, and then the boat they used last year during the fire, which was on the older side, got beat up pretty bad, and so this was an asset that they needed to replace. And so thankfully they found good funding for this, and the opportunity has been exposed. So we're looking to get approval for the grant to accept those funds, and then to go through the purchasing process, which we've done quite a bit of work at this point. So boat cost is $42,031. They were awarded $36,408 through the grant, and then the rest of the money that will be used to finish the purchase of the grant, to include transportation, will come from what was budgeted for the search and rescue's equipment fund. To keep this as cheap as possible, the search and rescue team has organized a drive to Alabama to pick this up. So they have that scheduled next week, I believe, on the 13th is the pickup date. They've gone through the entire process of organizing what the boat should look like, to best fit the needs of Lake County. So this is a huge asset for our county, for our search and rescue team. When search and rescue analyzes what they're gonna purchase, they look at it in two different parts. They look on what's the scalability side, just how often are they gonna use this piece of equipment, and then on the importance side. Water rescues don't happen a ton, however, they're almost 5 a year that they average, but it's rates high on the priority importance side. When they have a water rescue type of mission, it's a fight against the clock, and it's a put things aside and get out there and execute that search and rescue mission. So it's a purpose-built boat for that reason alone. Hopefully it brings a good lifespan to it. I don't know exactly what that would be, but it's fully equipped with motor equipment necessary to execute those, including the trailer. So I brought Erica and Andrea. I would like to introduce Andrea, by the way. She's gonna lead our administrative section and take us to the next level. Happy to talk about that later, actually pretty excited about it, but she's also a volunteer with Search and Rescue. So she can definitely talk more on the technical side of things. If you guys have any of those types of questions, or if there's any questions related to the grant, that's when I asked Erica to join today also, so we can provide those answers for you guys today. That's the initial presentation.
Great, thank you.
So this is $5,600 that's not covered,
Correct.
but you're saying that the funds will come from search and rescue. What would those funds have gone to if they weren't for this?
That was part of their equipment line item for this year.
So kind of is budget.
Yeah, exactly, so,
Okay.
just, we didn't have that exact you know,
It's not an extra funding request, it's
Correct.
within budget.
correct.
Cool.
Yep, and so, we are trying to, have this, do you wanna talk to that in more detail with the, how we're gonna go about purchasing and refunding the account through the grant, once the grant is there, I guess that's one thing I didn't mention, once I look at that side of the grant.
Yeah, so, the 36,408, is that what it is? That'll be refunded to the county, and so the way that goes about is his name is Perry, with the search and rescue. He just asks for like a receipt, a canceled check, or not canceled check, but like proof that the check was made and sent to them. So he asks for that and like the invoice to support it and a picture with one of the search and rescue members on the boat, just to prove that they received the boat and picked it up. And then they'll send the county that check, and so that'll net that 36,220, and then like Sheriff was saying, their equipment line item is gonna cover the remaining, and then they do have travel costs as well. And the way we are going to go about that is we have a fuel card that they can borrow from the sheriff's office, and then we'll kind of just put together an itemized invoice to search and rescue to process through AP and have that come from their account codes.
Cool.
I think the only thing we need to figure out is the insurance. While the boat's moving, cause I think we have a little bit of we're not sure. It doesn't seem that it's covered,
By the county's insurance.
yeah, while it's in transit.
And that's what I was gonna say in terms of, I know trying to save the money of not having them deliver it. If we need to, if we don't have coverage, then we need to try to find some sort of temporary coverage for that, or I don't even know if SAR now has their own insurance coverage, if there'd be a possibility of SAR picking up the coverage for its transit.
We'll check on that, cause I know they established some insurance, yeah.
Yeah, because in most, and I looked at the documents, the purchase, the quote and all that kind of stuff, but they weren't in terms and conditions, and usually when you buy either a boat or a car or something like that, the dealer's, supplier's liability ends when you take it across the curb.
Right.
And so you pick up liability from that point, and so not knowing, we need to find some coverage, cause obviously that's a lot of money, or we need to figure out how to pay for them to deliver it and to make sure their insurance covers it until it hits Lake County.
Sounds good, so what we'll do is we'll check on SAR insurance to see if it covers it. If not, we might go back to the original plan of just having a transport company take it, then they take on that liability until it's dropped off here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to see, cause it's, you don't wanna be, I hate to say penny wise and pound foolish, where we're transporting and end up in an accident, and it's destroyed, we have no insurance.
Yeah, we don't want that situation. Okay.
The old search and rescue boat, you're saying it got kind of beat up during the fire, they were doing a lot of trips back and forth. What, just to paint a mental picture of some of this, what was like, are we talking about the hull of the boat, like hitting the rocks on the edges and stuff and?
Yeah, that was related to not having the dock set up quite yet, so we were going right up to the ramp, I think was the main cause of the damage to the boat.
And then what style or format, like are the boats themselves, are they a boat with an outboard?
This is above my technical
So
knowledge.
it's an aluminum flat bottom boat, so it's able to be beached, so we can use it on all of our lakes and our area. It also comes with a rescue platform to help with rescuers, canine units, which we did have canines on our boats last year for searching.
Yeah.
And so, just printed a bigger picture for you guys, but this small. Just so you get a picture of it.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
perfect,
coming
thank you.
logoed and branded already with
Okay.
our American flag, our sheriff's office logo, as well as the search and rescue logo, and it'll say Lake County Search and Rescue on it.
Okay.
They're also doing lights on the boat as well.
Moving forward, if we ended up in a situation like this again, I'm not a boat expert, but I do know a little bit, I've got some experience. Would we be able to move the engine from this to another boat, another aluminum boat, in the event we like beat the heck out of this one, dealing with another fire, another situation like that, like, Cause the outboard's really the expensive part, I don't know if we're beating the boat up, maybe next time, moving forward, this sounds like, I'm A-okay with all of this, but I'm just thinking, moving forward, can we buy the boat, the chassis, and then move the motor over next time, so we can not have to spend that much. This is grant funded, this is great, I'm all for all this, but I'm just looking at like ways we can, in the future, look at different approaches.
I think so, just looking at the invoice, it looks like it's separated.
Yeah,
So you're
no,
saying like
totally,
purchase
yeah.
this portion next time and then the rest of the.
Yeah, no, and that's a sweet outboard, so you don't wanna like, oh, the boat's got dents, we gotta get rid of that, it's like, no, that thing's awesome, like, keep that.
What becomes of the old unit?
So, yeah, go ahead.
We're looking at the options of either sending it to auction. The motor that's on it currently is new, so we're potentially looking at separating them, just to get the most money and recouping the costs out of our budget that are not grant funded.
The current boat is in the Lake County, it's titled to Lake County.
I'm not sure about that title situation, that's.
Cause that's, we'll need to check in terms of if it's to be sold.
Go through our auction process.
What it would be, yeah, if it's owned by the county, then if it's sold, then those proceeds come back into the county.
And check if there's two titles, cause there might be a title for the boat and a title for the motor.
Correct, and donation stuff, so we're working through all that.
Okay.
What will the boat be called?
Great.
It's bad luck to not have a
No.
name for your ship.
We need a volunteer.
Yeah, can we have a
This might be unveiling for everyone.
search and rescue fundraiser and, put
Name
a
the boat.
$1 in, name the boat?
Some
It would
champagne.
be called boating with boat face.
Boating with boat face.
That seems a little friendlier when you're trying to rescue someone.
Okay, exactly what it is.
Looking forward to that. For real.
The name of the boat.
There's a name out there.
There is?
Oh,
okay.
Is it secret?
It sounds like I'm.
You haven't approved it? Is that what you said?
It's in one of my emails, I don't.
I'm so
It's
glad
in
there's a
honor of
filter.
their current president right now,
Oh,
Scott.
that's so
Oh, good.
sweet.
But I can't remember what it was, I'll tell you.
Scotty's ship.
Yeah, something.
Scotty McScott face.
Yeah,
Alright.
great.
Is it my turn?
I think it is.
My turn. I move to approve the Backcountry Search and Rescue BSAR grant to purchase the boat for Lake County Search and Rescue.
I'll second the motion.
To a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alright. Thank you guys, appreciate this.
Thank you guys.
Eighth-year-old Subaru is scary fast.
Did you get in it? Nice, nice. Did you drive it? Did you? Nice. Handles well, too. The brakes.
Unreal.
I'm glad you got to drive it.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks.
Yeah.
Subaru.
Yeah, what kind is it?
It's a WRX, but it's been completely gutted and 800 pounds removed from the inside and roll cages and helmets and everything
Holy
and
shit.
intercoms and stage 2 tuning. Yeah.
Wow.
It was absolutely terrifying. Until after about 10 laps, then I
Who owns that?
Ty Hall.
Oh, you guys are out at the track.
Yeah. Okay, consent agenda. Would
Yeah,
you like
it's
to
your
make a
turn.
motion to approve the consent agenda,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bullock?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
Do a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alright, consent agenda approved. And, for informational purposes, all packet materials for agenda items are available upon request. Email Sandra Pettis, spettis@lakecountyco.gov. And to subscribe to emails or text notifications from the county via Notify Me, visit lakecountyco.gov/list.aspx. And that concludes today's regular meeting of Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you,
all your
Chair.
hard work.